Hey, everybody, and welcome to the MFF Project Podcast. We are heading into a new season. It is just been a beautiful fall. I don't know about you guys, but it has been great for me. Listen.
You see her often, you pass her daily, but her stars are away from your eyes. She fought fiercely to break away. Her mind needed to be free. Her body
I
needed
am
to
glad that
heal.
everybody decided to
Many were the
join us
scars on the
today.
inside.
I
You
hope your
left behind
summer
scars
has
on
been
the inside.
great. I hope your
You left me
fall
on
will
her
be
past,
amazing.
scarred by the
I want to jump right
experiences
in
of her
today, and we're going to.
from him.
I have a great guest,
He built her up
and we
in
want
the
to build
past,
up the woman,
seen
build
past.
up
Her there in his pit,
us
surrounded her every
women,
emotion.
building us up. And then I believe that this podcast is going to help men and show them how to build us up. And then women, when you are getting out of that toxic relationship, why do we allow so many other things to stop us and keep us from being our best selves? Why do I think the biggest thing that stops us from being our best selves is us? So I'm going to bring my guest today because she's going to help us debunk some of those myths and help us understand everything that we need to understand. Hey, Miss Reba, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I am doing well. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Okay, my name is Reba Bell, and I am a DV advisory coach. I just wrote a book. I'm a new author. I just wrote a book called A Blessing in Disguise. It's a healing guide to help domestic violence survivors heal after domestic violence. I'm a mother of two and a wife. So writing this book was pretty much I wrote the book during the pandemic. And the reason
Wow.
why I wrote the book, honestly, is because I kept hearing about so many cases where people had to stay with their
Yes.
abusers. And
Yes.
it was affecting me. I've been out of domestic violence for a while, but I've always had a heart to help people that were like myself in situations and cases. So it was no better time. But at that time, that God placed it on my heart. I ended up becoming a part of a program where they helped me to write the book pretty much. I had another intention because I had wrote my book. I wrote my autobiography to let people know about my life story and what God has brought me through. Well, it transitioned into writing for domestic violence survivors. And, my coach at that time was basically telling me, you have a story to tell on that part. You need to,
Yes.
the
Yes.
the autobiography is coming out soon, but we could pause on that part. You have a story to tell and to help people. So that's how I wrote the
Absolutely.
book, and that's where it stemmed from. It's to help people
Yes.
survive after domestic violence and how to have the mindset on you can have a healthier life and a happier life after domestic violence.
Absolutely. And congratulations first
Thank
on
you.
writing your first book. And
Thank you.
then absolutely. During the pandemic, a lot of people were reaching out to my organization. I had even strangers and people that were looking for resources for somebody that they knew reaching out to MFF Project. And it was just for me, and that was where this podcast was birthed out of because I'm like, oh my God, I can't like go physically help somebody, but what can I do from my house? And it was this
Exactly.
podcast was birthed, and I thought I was going to jump online and do a couple videos and share some tips. And it's been 18 months later and I'm still here, guys. So, and we can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Facebook and YouTube. So that is where people can view or listen to the podcast if you're driving. And I really wanted to jump into the healing. And when you are a victim, you're first of all, you're beat down so much mentally, spiritually,
Mhm.
physically, financially. You're at in such a low place, and I think that people don't understand that. So when they say, "Girl, just leave," you're already in just a terrible space. Like so, that when someone says that, "Girl, just leave," or woman, just get out of there, your mindset is not like, okay, I got my book bag packed, I'm gonna jump
Exactly.
in your Jeep. you know your mind is not there, but your mind is like, oh my God, like how do I do? How do I do that? And to, when you're on the other side, you're like the same way you brush your teeth. You get your toothpaste, you put the toothpaste on it, you bring it up to your mouth and you brush your teeth. But when you're in that space, in that place, you can't see another way out. It's not even a thought. And maybe you used to dream about it, but now you've gotten so far down.
Yes.
There's no way for you to see a way out or a way up. So help us understand when a victim is at that point, because I believe a lot of women, and just not even women, and men are at that point where they're more than desperate. They're just at a place of, I'm giving up and I don't care what happens to me, whether I live or die. How do you come up from that and then go into, doing what's best for me?
Well, I think it starts with your mindset. Anything that we do have to start with our mindset. You have to want to love yourself. And I'm just going to talk for me personally, if you don't have a problem with that.
Absolutely.
I will only advise from what my experience was. My experience was I was in an abusive relationship with my son's father at the time. And it was a continuing. Why is this happening to me? Till it got to a point where I kept looking in the mirror, and I had to look in the mirror every day and say, okay, so this is the life you want. This is the life you want to live. I was at the time unemployed. My son was, when I ended up leaving, my son was 3 weeks. He was a newborn baby. And I was in the mirror. I remember waking up in the mirror saying, like, so this is your life. This is what you want. And I remember being so hidden from my family and my friends. I didn't tell anybody about it. So I felt like at that time I didn't have nobody. Now, a lot of times when people are going through domestic violence, they don't have the support system. They don't have who they need because they don't want to be judged. It's a lot of factors to it. And my factors was I was unemployed. He was the breadwinner. We was living together. I ended up moving in with him. So it was a lot of other factors. We just having a baby. Why do I want to leave somebody I just had a child with? It was a lot of thoughts. But I think it started with my mindset to say, this is not the end and this is not all of my life, and I want better for my life. So basically I was a victim at the time, and pretty much the victimization of my mind, not just what I went through physically, emotionally, but mentally, I became a victim. And so I didn't see a way out at that time because not that I didn't want to, because I just really couldn't see a way out.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and I think I just wanted to kind of have you explain it, because people sometimes they just don't get it,
people
and
don't get into the in it.
they don't get it until absolutely, they don't get it until they're in it. And speaking of being in it and then coming out of it, a lot of times when we were victims of domestic violence and we get out and we start our life over and we're working on self, but we're continuing the everyday. If we have children, and just for ourselves, we're providing our basic needs. We're going to work, we're going to school, we're still doing all the things that we need to do to survive. And then sometimes, and it happens, you get into a new relationship and you carry that old stuff into that new relationship, and a lot of times we don't even realize it.
Yes.
Like, how does one become conscious of that, or how does one move from being a victim to being a survivor?
First, okay, so I'm a backtrack to what you said first. When we are a victim, yes, we are a victim. We have to accept it. First thing you have to do is accept that it happened. A lot of times we don't want to accept because the it's a fear factor, but it's also a shock that wow, this happened to me. And the reality of, yes, it happened. It was a true thing that happened. It was a real thing that happened. And you come to the acceptance that it happened to me. Next, you have to get to the point of forgiving yourself. I know that sounds very, crazy to some people or whatever, but it wasn't your fault that you was in it. But you have to forgive yourself, because at the same time, sometimes we live in this regret. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Well, you can't change that person. You couldn't see or foresee what they was going to do. Now we have signs. Don't get me wrong. There's educational signs of a abuser. But at the same time, it wasn't your choice necessarily for somebody to emotionally abuse you, physically abuse you, mentally abuse you. That wasn't your choice. You didn't get in a relationship and just say, I just want to be abused, so let me go find the most abusive relationship I should be in. So when I say forgive yourself, that's the first thing, because sometimes we live in this resentment, which goes to a victim. So you still in this victim mindset. You get in a new relationship. I did it with my husband, and I get in a new relationship, and so now I'm expecting every guy to be like him. So it's like, I just want you to do something. I had the defense mechanism up. So it was more of me trying to push my husband to do things because I was so defensive. I was still in the victim mindset, even though I wasn't even in the relationship anymore. I was like preparing myself for what the worst would happen, because I kind of set my mind up that I didn't want the happiness. I didn't see the happiness. I set my mind up to, I can't, this is not real. You know, the love that I'm getting, the support that I'm getting, the true love that I feel, it's not real. Something's gonna happen. And I think sometimes that's what we do.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And I think when we do that, we miss time in our healing process, our healing journey. So you don't miss out on a healing journey. So I want to be clear, but you miss time. I mean, you may miss 5, 6 weeks or months, or I know women or individuals that have missed years.
I missed
On
years. It was
Yeah.
3 separations for me and my husband. Years.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I
years.
wouldn't recommend nobody doing it. 3 separations later, I had to wake up.
So walk us through that. What, like, okay, you went through it one time and then you go through it again. What was it like, at that second time, and then the third time you're like, all right, for real, I'm out of it. You know what I mean?
You said, what was it, like the third time of the third separation?
Yeah.
Okay, so the third separation, it came down to, the third separation was either you are going to accept the gift that God gave you. Stop. What I end up doing is, because I was abused, I turned to abuser in my marriage.
Okay.
So I was in the beginning dating stage. Surprisingly, my husband married me, but I turned into the physical abuser. Then, because like I said, I was in the defensive mechanism. Then I turned into the emotional abuser, tearing him down, saying words, because a lot of people don't think that abuse is just, they always think physical. It is. And to me, sometimes emotional is worse.
Yeah.
Many times. And so it kind of acted him to react like, okay, now I am a man now, you get what I'm saying? So I got to the point where he left and went back home the third time with his parents, because he like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. And when I got to reality was not that I'm just losing my husband and the gift. And not saying he was perfect, he wasn't perfect in it either, but I knew what I was doing. I knew the words that I caused. I had to actually genuinely have that conversation with my God. First, I'm saved, so I know God, and gently say, not just with my husband, but whatever relationship you in, you're gonna keep on doing this. This is a pattern, and you have to mentally heal. You have to get the support. You have to, and I talk about that too. You have to forgive. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive others. Forgive your son's father. That was 13 years ago. My son's 13. You know what I'm saying? So forgive him. You say you forgive him, but you're still living in it with your husband. So
yeah.
Instead of me, and it wasn't, and when my husband got back together, I never initially thought we was going to get back together, but God gave me a dream, about where my life's supposed to be. And I had to see myself on the other side. I had to see
Yes.
myself helping other women. I had to see myself as that woman of God. I had to see myself. And also, I had 2 kids. So it was like, okay, so what are you teaching your children? Your son that's 13,
Mm-hmm.
even though his father is still in his life, but my husband is his father too. And also, what are you teaching your daughter? So they're watching and they're witnessing this. And a lot of times we think about ourselves because we're so selfish in emotions in a moment that we're not thinking about who's watching us. I had to think about
Yeah.
all that at that time. And that's
Yes.
what kind of broke me down to the point of, okay, you got to change this regardless if you're in a relationship with your husband or not. You got to change you.
Absolutely. And I want you to stop right there because I think that when people are in abusive relationships, and I think that every person, and this is just me speaking just from experience and even myself, before you have that epiphany that I need to get out of this abusive relationship, you have to come to terms with yourself. Right. And I like that you said that I had, and you didn't say it, but I'm saying it. You had that dream, but in that dream, it gave you hope. That dream was sent to you to give you
Yeah.
hope. And then you had to not only have hope, but you had to exercise your faith and
Exactly.
stand on that, hey, there is a better life. There is something better than where I am right now for me. And I'm going to believe it. And not only will I believe that I can have it,
Yes.
I'm going to work towards having it. And I think that people are missing that when you and it's a part of your healing process. When you get out of that relationship, you have to work toward your healing process. When
Yes.
you are a victim in that relationship, before you can even have that epiphany, you have to have that vision that, hey, I deserve better.
I
I I, I
deserve
I
better.
should
That's
I
right.
deserve better. I shouldn't be getting hit in my face. I shouldn't be walking around with black eyes. If he calls me a bitch,
Mm-hmm.
I should not be answering saying, yes, baby, what would you like for dinner? I made steak. Is this okay?
Yep.
Instead of and having those moments, and for individuals that are suffering, whether you're on a inside of a relationship or outside of a relationship, and this is like even through life, is having that real moment with self
Yes.
and checking yourself. Like when we're kids, that's our parents' job. Our parents are like, nope, that attitude, nope, let's recorrect that character. Nope,
Yep.
let's work on your obedience. Nope, let's get that discipline together. Nope, let's make sure we develop healthy habits and doing your homework every night. Let's put down the video games. Let's take the cell phones away for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
hours. That's the parent's job. But when you're an adult, right?
Yeah.
Nobody is checking you, and you almost wish you would. Somebody would check you. Only person that probably check you is your boss. Other than that, you're like, I wish they would. I wish they would.
That is very true.
Come in here. I wish my coworker would come in here and tell me what I should be doing with my job, because it's like we get into a culture of nobody can check us. I think it was something on like Real Housewives of Atlanta. She was like, "Who could check me, boo?" Like
Right.
you, like, but seriously, like
Seriously.
being able to get that correction. And if you're that kind of person that nobody could check me, boo, then you just gonna
You
have to
go.
wait for that moment and miss time in your healing journey because you want to.
I was that person. I
Yeah,
was. I was that
yeah.
broken. I talk about the broken mindset. And when I talk about the healing process in a book about me and my husband, I talk about Mrs. Brokenness. That's what I call them.
Mm,
Mr. and Mrs. Brokenness. So it is the person that you see right now is not the person that you see. You're not that person. And so what you have to do is, it's like we have a mask on, like they say, facade
yes,
and a mask. Who you are, that negative person, that roll neck, I wish somebody checked me person. I was that person. I knew deep down inside I didn't want to be that person. First of all,
yes,
because I had a relationship with God. I'm looking at people that I knew had a light of God on them, and it was just women, black women like me, and it was just like, I want to be like them. it started making me feel like I want to be like them. What I have to do to change me.
Yes,
And
yes,
not because I was just in awe of someone else, but it was just like, I don't want people looking at me like I just got the RBF all the time. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
the attitude of, because of a victim, when you still playing the victim role, you standing in that victim role. When you're playing the
yeah,
victim role, it's you get accustomed to it. So
yes,
everything is, I wish somebody would. And I wish somebody would, even with my husband.
yes,
You gonna do something. You gonna do something. And it's like, really? So you
yeah,
just can't accept real love. You just can't accept a real relationship. You can't really accept that you just can't have, it's not going to be that. So everybody just putting on this facade, you know. So that's why I tell people, anything you want to, anything that you want to do and you want to start, it starts with your mindset. Just like
yes,
with the coaching program, I talk about, and while I'm writing it out and drafting it out, I ask a couple of questions before you even sign up, because that's great. You can sign up. That's great. You want the healing after you read the book and it carries you through the book. That's great. You want that. But I actually ask these questions because you have to dig down and see if I really want this healing. And one of the questions I do ask is, why do you want healing? You literally have to, name reasons why you want healing. Because
yeah,
sometimes we say we want something, we'll pay the money for it, and it's just not with the coach. It's just with anything. We say we want that job, then we get on the job and start complaining about it. We
yeah,
say we want, and that's the job God blessed us with, but we want to complain. We
yeah,
say we want this or that. It could be applied to anything. Everything starts with your mindset. If you don't change your mindset with anything that you do, you're not going to change. And that's just the truth. And you have to dig deep down inside. And a lot of things go back to, I'm a part of this program called Aces Matter. A lot of things go back to our childhood. It goes back to, why did we accept certain things? What did we see in our past? What did we see from our mom and dad? And I when I wrote the book, a lot of people, I got surprised when I was writing the book, because I'm going to tell you what I revealed in writing the book. I'm thinking I'm writing a book about my domestic violence and the people that abused me. Well, I realized my mother was my first abuser. That was very hard for me to admit that in this book,
yeah,
because of what I seen. So it was just like, oh, my mother was and she wasn't the physical abuser, she was the emotional abuser. And so a lot of times we take whatever happened in our childhood and we pass it along and into our adulthood. And we become these monsters that
and
nobody
it's
wants to deal with.
also, to add to that, it's because we're children and we don't understand it.
Yeah,
We just carry it with us,
we carry
and
it
it,
with
and when we become adults, we get into relationships, and it just comes out of us.
it does.
And sometimes we don't understand, well, why am I like this? And we question, why am I like this? Why am I like this? But I also think that when you reach that point, then
Mm-hmm.
hey, it's time for me to go and speak with a professional to help me sort through not only my thoughts, but help me sort through my past. Because Reba, what you said, like you talked about the past, like you have to be able to sort through that past and
Mm-hmm.
um understand the life that you lived throughout this time, and then also understanding your parents, why they were the way that they were, because you're going to have to forgive them for whatever they did or didn't do to you, right? Because when you carry in that unforgiveness and you
Yep.
carry it with you, and
Yeah.
then you scratch out your boyfriend ass, or and he like, oh, I love her so much, but she crazy,
Right.
and he can't understand why you so crazy.
It's very true. It also goes to, I'm glad you brought that up, because another thing I talk about is therapy. Oh, I get so hurt because we, as Black people, don't want therapy. And we,
Yeah.
we talk so much against it. And I say
Mhm.
Black people, don't get me wrong, I know other people are watching. But I say Black people because we are the ones that fight against it so much. And we need it the most.
Yes.
And therapy was one of the things I talk about in here. If you don't get therapy, I talk about it in the air. You don't want the therapy, then get some kind of counseling, some kind of help. I understand, how people feel about certain therapy and all that stuff. I've been in therapy. I'm in therapy now still, but I've been in therapy on and off for different aspects of my life. It don't have to just be one thing. And
Yes.
therapy is a continuous thing. It doesn't just stop because I'm healed from domestic violence. I'm in therapy for totally something different right now. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like different aspects of your life. If you feel like you can't deal with it, you need to go to talk to someone. Like, I'm glad you brought that up because that's really big.
It is. It is. And I see a lot of times with individuals when they get out of relationships, they especially people who don't necessarily go through a program, they're just not gonna get any type of counseling.
Yep.
And for those that are listening, it's your choice.
It's your choice.
And so what we're telling you is make the decision to choose you.
Mm-hmm.
You're worth it, right? You're worth it. If your leg was broke, you be at the doctor, you be calling them up. I can't believe you don't open till 9 o'clock. Well, that's what they said. That's that's the time on the door. That's the time online. You mad at them because they don't open till 9 o'clock and you've been out here since 8:30, and your leg is in so much pain. Think of your life at that same way. My mental state is in so much pain. I'm so bottled up. I'm so closed off. I don't have enough friends. I don't let anybody in. Or I'm abusing. I'm an abuser, and I'm abusing people in every relationship, whether it's platonic or whether it's intimate. I'm so damn mad at my mom that I don't want to take care of her and she's sick. And I know I'm the only child and I'm the only one that can do it. And I have enough money or I have the time to dedicate to her, but I don't
Come
want to
on.
because of what she did to me when I was 8 years old. And she didn't fight
Yes.
for me, and she didn't win, and she didn't win whatever battle that I was in, or she didn't hear me when I told her something was going on, and she didn't come to my rescue. Like that, those are pain, that's pain, and you're literally
Yeah.
bleeding on the inside, but you choose not to get the help that you need, and then you wonder why I am the way that I am. And I don't like the fact that people always say, well, people, you know how I am. No, that's an excuse for
No,
you
that's
to
an
be.
excuse.
That's an excuse. No, I don't know how you
Yeah.
are. But
Yeah.
if how you are is what you're showing me, I don't want to be a part of it. You cannot enter into my life. Why? Because I got a boundary up.
Yes. Yes. And that's funny you said that because that's another thing I was going to talk about is boundaries.
Yeah.
I talk about boundaries because it's so part of the healing. Is so important to put the boundaries up, and that's with relationships, friendships. I had to learn the hard way in my personal experience, and like I said in the book, I talk about more of my personal experiences so people can relate. That I'm not just talking to be talking. I went through this stuff. I had to put the boundaries up because I had to understand my respect. I had to understand who I was. I had to understand what I wanted out of my life. And I had to put a boundary up even with my own mother. It got
Yeah.
to a point where my mother doesn't call me if it's negative. She can't call me if she's complaining. She
Yes.
can't call me if she want to be negative Nancy on the phone because I don't want to hear it. I'm just at a place in my life, not that you can't vent, but I'm at a place in my life that sometimes when people are just being who they are, like you just said. And sometimes you have to protect your peace. Protecting your
Mhm.
peace is more than just saying I want to talk to you. Protecting
Yes.
your peace is praying over yourself every morning. Protecting your peace is setting those boundaries with people that your friends and your family, and you know that you shouldn't be talking to or they shouldn't be in your circle. Protecting your peace is not listening to everybody and their mama and going to God and asking God, God, what would you want me to do in my life? How would you like me to heal from this? And you will get the answers. So
Absolutely.
boundaries are
Absolutely.
very important.
Yes. I think we have just scratched the surface. And because it can go so much deeper. So tell us, and I know we were talking offline, and you were mentioning the happy tunnel and helping your clients find the happy tunnel. What is tell us a little bit about your program that you have coming up in 2022, and
Yes.
what that looks like, and about that happy tunnel, and why you want to help individuals you know go through the happy tunnel or find their happy tunnel.
Well, my point of the book and the program. It's a coaching program. It's an 8-week coaching program. We walk through the book, and each chapter of the book is a point of where you see yourself, and it's a next phase and the next phase and the next phase. So what it does for you, it helps you. It's a guide, and that's why I call it a guide. It's a guide for healing to help you on what the next thing you have to do, and how you can heal from it afterwards. And it's not just about just domestic violence, because it can be anything. It could be emotional, like we was talking about. It could be any facet of violence or abuse that you went through. And so what the book and the coaching program does, it guides you step by step. I coach you through and help you with the process of what we have to do, what you have to do. And it's written out for you and guided to you. So when I said in the beginning, I ask these questions before you even become a part of the program, because I want to know that not just because you just want to get my coaching, but you want to heal truly from inside and out. It's a work we all have to do. And I'm your coach because I want to help you heal, but I'm also your coach because I want to walk you through it. I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach. And so a lot of people get it misconstrued.
Twisted. They get it
twisted that, you know, therapists and coaches are the same, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I just help you through, meaning I guide you through the program, and we talk on a whatever basis it is with the 8-week program. And then we talk on, okay, what criteria did you hit here? After you hit that criteria, okay, so what do you see yourself doing here? And I give you step by step on ideas of what you can do. So say the first chapter is forgiving yourself. I have a little questionnaire on how you forgive yourself and what you think you can do to forgive yourself. And then each week you actually do something through the program. And then we talk again and we talk about that. Slowly but surely you'll start seeing. You'll stop thinking about the abuse. You'll stop thinking about the abuser. You'll start thinking about what you want for your life, because we talk about that too on where do you see yourself. We talk about goal writing, goal setting. We talk about taking small steps. Nobody have to say, oh, I'm going to be a teacher and such and such and such and such. Taking a small step. A small step is if you have not been out the house and you're just thinking, go walk around the block or go walk to the grocery store. Walk to the grocery store and walk around. That's something I used to do, and it used to give me so much peace. When I felt like my walls was closing in on me in my household in the past, I used to just leave just to go to the grocery store and walk around the grocery store, because it just was a different environment than meeting people. So what the program does is literally helps you to heal process by process by process on an 8-week course. And that's how it guides you.
And I also like the fact that you said take a walk. I think even when you're taking that walk, it distracts you from thinking about the person who abused you, about for going down the woe is me lane, from going down to the bottom. Oh, I'm stuck here, I'm never going to get out. It distracts you, and then you went outside and say you tripped, right? And then you also, you know, like when we trip, like we go outside and we trip, then we always look around, see if anybody saw it. Then we start laughing. Long as we ain't fall and like hurt ourselves, we just did a little trip. We start laughing. That took your mind off immediately, whether or not something happened, or you hear some birds chirping, right? Or it's cold and it's snowing, right? Or whatever, you know, you're like, oh, there's somebody walking their dog. Oh, look at those kids are playing, or whatever it could be. The grass is so green. I hadn't noticed that before, but it helps. And then those of you that don't know, it helps when those reactions happen within our body. A chemical reaction is taking place, and it is released the dopamine into our brains that causes the happiness and the reactions of joy. And those are good things because those alleviate stress.
And it also gets you back to what you want to do. What do you like doing? Because a lot of times when we get in these relationships, we lose who we are. It's just the truth. We forget what we even like doing. If I like double dutching, I like to go outside and play double dutch. Something simple as that. If I like doing crossword puzzles, let's get back to. So, like I said, what I do is I guide you and I help you step by step to try to get back to who you were or who
Yes.
you see yourself as a form. And we're right now, and at the end of the program, you're going to see this figure. You're going to see this woman or this man. You're going to see this, what they call it, an avatar. You're going to see this avatar. And at the end of the program, you're either going to be that avatar, which is, that's what my goal is. You're that avatar at the end of the program. And then, or you just still got a little nips and buzz to fix or whatever, and you see yourself being that avatar. We set the goals because we do have to have goals, because so many times when we don't have goals and we just don't have landmarks, we have to have a landmark, and we don't have landmarks. We just, okay, I just do this another time, or I'll just forget about it. I know she told me to do this, but it's a landmark. It's a landmark for yourself. And that's where I went back to the beginning when I say, before we even start the program, it's a questionnaire. I take you step by step in a questionnaire to see where your mind is at.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it because it just and I love the fact that you have those weekly meetings because it helps keep that individual accountable. So
Yes.
tell us, Miss Reba Bell, how we can, connect with you, how we can purchase your book and all
Oh,
that good stuff.
okay. So you could go to rebabell.com. That's REBA my first and last name. When you see it on there, I was about to spell it out. My first and last name.com, and it will lead you to my Facebook page. You can purchase the book on there, or you can find me on Instagram, which is Arthur Arthur underscore Reba Arve, and that's pretty much my book is there, and you will find everything that I do. Um, if you just want to follow me on both of those pages, social media, on my Facebook page, which is Reba Arve, or you just want to follow me, I do live uh, uh, speeches, podcasts every week or every Monday. I do it with my husband, and we basically talk about certain levels of forgiveness. We talk about therapy. So if you just want to follow me just to see some of the things that I do and the things that I talk about, that's cool too. And then from there, once you purchase the book, you can purchase the book through the website. You're going to see a link that says samcartrebabell.com, and that's my link on there. And then we'll go from there. And then once the coaching program doesn't start until January, once you go from there, if you want to continue in coaching after you purchase the book, then we'll go from there and talk on how to get into the coaching program.
That is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I just want to thank you for being a guest on our
Of
show
course.
today. It has been really, really good. And I think it was good, refreshing information on healing and just with a different change of perspective where you talked about just some stuff that you carried from that relationship into your marriage and how it affected your marriage.
Yeah,
So that was so good because a lot, people don't always talk about it.
they
They don't
don't.
always share that, but it's so real. And I'm glad that you guys have this podcast now where you can just begin to help other couples, be their best selves, and know that every marriage is going to go through something. I don't
Yes.
care. I don't care. I don't care because
Yes.
you ain't married to Jesus. So every marriage is going to go through something. Um, but working together and really making that commitment to each other to get through it it makes for a great testimony, a beautiful story, and it just helps. It makes for a great life because nobody. I mean, going through life with your partner, your life partner, is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
So, what would you say to the woman who has gotten out of that relationship and who has decided I'm not gonna let anybody check me. I'm not gonna let anybody hurt me like that ever again. So maybe I'm gonna get them before they get me, or maybe not. What would you say to that woman who has that mindset of I'm not gonna let anybody hurt me anymore? I'm a be bold or bad.
I'll say that's a beautiful thing, but you're gonna get hurt. Um, because it's not reality. You're gonna get hurt because, not saying to be in another domestic violence relationship, but hurt comes. Hurt people hurt people. I can't sit here and say that my husband hasn't hurt me in certain ways, not because of something that is, physical or anything, but because we have feelings. That's the way God created us. So I would say let that guard down first, because somebody's gonna hurt you, and it's not going to be to the point of domestic violence or detriment. I also would say to get into therapy, because the only way that you can heal from that mindset of I don't want and I'm not gonna let and I'm gonna be soldier woman, I would say get into therapy, because therapy is the only way and the only factor that can help you to understand who you are and why you feel the way you feel. Dig down deep inside of you on your past, figure out what happened in your past, figure out where you want to go for your future. Because a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, we don't want to be that negative person. I knew I didn't. I had that attitude. And deep down inside, when I went home and I'm all lonely and I'm all sad, it was just like, okay, why you just got to be like that? You really, I don't like people viewing me as this mean lady, but I don't take no stuff. It's like, yeah, my husband knows I don't take no stuff, but my husband knows that he like, I want you to be in your womanness. He know his wife is a good woman. He knows his wife is a good mother, but he also knows she don't take no stuff. But I don't have to have that portrayed. You understand?
Absolutely.
So that's what I would say my identity is that I want to be portrayed as a woman of God. I want to be portrayed as a loving mother, a loving wife. That's it. And everything else will fall in line. So when you change your mindset that everything is not going to be perfect, every relationship is not going to be perfect, and sometimes let them walls down, but therapy will help with that. That's the reason why I say therapy first. Then the forgiveness comes. Then the all the other things come. The setting the boundaries, the goals. Starting your life over, seeing who you want to be. Get into counseling first, because that's the only way you're gonna figure out who you really are and get out of Mrs. Brokenness.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. That was absolutely well said. I hope everyone that has watched and everyone that is listening, that one of my biggest takeaways is being intentional, just as a
Yes.
person, being intentional. If you don't want someone to view you in one way, you do the work of do the work, just do the work and be intentional when you do it. And over time, and it doesn't have to be like a long time, but over time, it's going to be change. And again, I mean, this is just a testimony that her change is for the better.
Yes.
She has a wonderful outcome, a wonderful outcome to that. And so we're living proof that being intentional about your healing journey, about your healing process, will allow you to experience and receive that joy and that love, in a and that peace, from
Yes.
a partner or from family and friends. Because if you're not just that way with your intimate partner, you're that way on the job and at work and with your family. So being intentional on making a change for yourself, so that you get to choose and decide, in a sense, how you want people to. That's what I always say. You get to choose how you want people to see you and view you.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. So thank you, Miss Reba Bell.
No
Thank you so
problem. I
much.
enjoyed this.
This was a great show. And those of you out there watching, don't forget to like and share the broadcast with a family or friend. Send it to some ladies that you know that are in need of support, that are going through some stuff, and they just need to hear something positive about healing, to just hear what that looks like. And don't forget to pick up your copy of her latest book as
Yeah.
well. Yes, go ahead, hold it up. Awesome. Blessing in Disguise, as well as, if you are interested in her coaching program, to reach out to her through social media. And I know it starts in 2022. So that's it. That's our show for today. And I will talk to you guys. I see you guys again. Thank you for joining season 3. And again, I hope that this fall is just kicking off to an amazing start. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.